I have my coffee ready.
All right, aviators, hello skygazers. Welcome to our Up and Away series, Aviation Education series, our third lesson, brought to you by all of us here, the team at Project AVIATE. We're so excited to have you aboard, and we hope you had a wonderful week. And it's Friday, so let's just get right into it. Sorry that these cameras are
But the
taking a while
Discord
to
cameras
load
ain't
up.
even working.
Yeah, I don't. I
Minor
don't know what
difficulties.
to.
It doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, all right. We'll eventually
We
load.
need to put the slides up, Nikhil. They're only on the officer.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
intentional.
we'll do that. So, anyway,
Alright.
welcome to our lesson. If you guys are new here to the channel, we'd kindly appreciate your support. Please go ahead and touch down with the like and subscribe buttons for us. It really helps our channel grow and our Up and Away program grow as well. And that's how we bring you these lessons. And without further ado, let's just get right into what we're gonna do today. So, we know we mentioned in our email earlier that we'll be talking about takeoff procedures, and that's kind of true. But we decided to modify the lesson a little bit to make it a little bit more transitionary from what you've already learned. And the things you've already learned are physics of flight, so you understand how an airplane gets in the air and how it maneuvers in the air. But now you also have the basic instruments that keep you safe, the main things we need to know, which I'll show you right now. You might remember what it's called, and it's called six-pack. That's right, the six-pack. We're only going to be focusing on 4 of these instruments primarily. If you remember from our previous lesson, we went over how that an airplane is doing several things. It's moving forward, it's climbing, and it's rolling in the air to turn. And as a result, we got our instruments that we need to be our airspeed, tells us how fast we're going forward, our artificial horizon, which tells us, how much we're pitching up and down to go in the air and descend, as well as, since we're going in the air, we obviously need to know how high we are, and that's what an altimeter is. Altitude, measure of height, and it's measured in feet, as you can see. And we'll go over the arrows in a second. And also we want to know what direction we're going. Kind of like you have a compass, similarly you have a heading indicator, which is on the bottom in the middle. And that tells us the direction you're going, because when you roll, you change direction. That's how an airplane turns. And just as an example of how these gauges move around, I want to show you what happens to the artificial horizon. Something you'll notice with the artificial horizon is that the wing level in the artificial horizon stays actually in the middle the whole time. But the gauge, which shows the sky here, so the blue part being the sky, and then of course the brown part here being the ground, it's those two colors that move around. And while the wings actually stay in the middle of the indicator. And this tells you the orientation of your airplane in the air. And that's how this one works. So in this one, we're climbing, right, on the one on the left, because we see more sky. As Steven said in our previous lesson, keep the blue side up. When you're into the blue, you're going into the sky, so you're climbing. And when you're aiming towards the ground, you're descending, so this is descending. And if you are turning in the air, if you're rolling in the air, this would indicate that you are banking to the left. You're banking to the left. Because relative to the horizon, your wings are tilted to the left, but in the indicator shown here, it's actually shown the sky being tilted, which is actually what you see if you were to go in and, let's say, step into the cockpit, which you'll see in a second. So let's just go ahead and get right into our plane here. We are in the beautiful island of Hawaii in Maui. Calvin will go ahead and show you guys how to set you guys up at this airport. Calvin, take it away.
Alright.
Whoops,
I
wrong
share
thing.
my.
Yep.
Okay. So click on free flight. Right, and then so you have all these settings again. So the first one is you want to click on this mountain down here. Right, and then I already have it selected, but at the top, you want to type in PHOG to go to Kaului, and it's right here. We can click on that. And then what you want to do is click Start New Route, this one right here. And then it'll start you there. And then at the top you can see it. And then that's pretty much it for that part. if you go to weather, you want to turn down the winds all the way down just to make sure that you can focus on only the basic flying part and not worry about anything else. And make sure visibility is all the way up and stuff like that. So the main one is just put all the winds all the way down, and then you can just go ahead and click. Make sure that if you click on the gear icon, make sure that. Do you want to start with engines running or no?
Engines running, yes.
Okay, then start with engines running. Make sure that's checked. That should be checked on default, and then click on the plane icon, and we can just go onto the run.
Yeah, it also
Just,
takes a moment to load. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be funny if it crashed.
I don't know if that's funny or if that's just sad.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold the device upside down, and then tap the screen.
Upside down.
It said to hold it comfortably.
All right. What he means by that is make sure you're holding your device in some kind of comfortable position that you feel you can move your phone around in. Like, make sure you have all your degrees of motion ready.
Sorry to interject real quick, but someone in the comments wants to know the iCal code for the airport. Know what to type in for Maui?
It's P. Oh.
Type it in the chat. PHOG.
Here, fog. That's right. Fog.
All right. And now that you're set up on the runway, you should be exactly where... All right, don't go crazy, Calvin. Now you should be exactly right here on the runway here at the beautiful island of Maui on runway, well, you'll see a giant 2 there maybe. If you were to like go in your cockpit and then zoom in, you'll see a giant 2. That's where you should be. And we'll go ahead and take it off from here. So, like we said last week, now that you know the basic instruments, you know what's kind of going on, let's go ahead and get into the air. And to do that, Calvin, why don't we go ahead and show them how to get in the air? The really lazy way to do it. We say lazy, but that's just a simplified way of just getting into the sky.
Alright, so the lazy takeoff procedure begins with... Let me go back here. Begins with turning off... Because the engine's already ready, we don't have to do any of that. So just take off the brakes.
That's the button. That's the button on the bottom left.
Right, it's on the bottom left, and if I hide this, okay, we're going a little bit, but it's also this lever down here. So just pull it up. And then turn the throttle up. And because the plane will start to drift left, because it's a Cessna, just make sure that you actually... My hands are very dry right now, so they're not... But yeah, just turn it, make sure that...
Make sure you try and stay somewhat kind of in the middle of the runway, just so you can get in the air. And
then just slowly go up. So slowly go up once you hit around 60 on your speedometer.
Speedometer.
What is it called?
Airspeed indicator.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Calvin. Just you can go ahead and keep flying around. I'll have you back in a second. So once again, just as Calvin mentioned, you can actually make the yoke disappear. All you have to do is click on this, disappears. Release the parking brakes, and then you're ready to go. You can set your power all the way. Actually, let me increase the volume so we get some nice Cessna sounds. All right, let's get out of here. All right. Make your throttle to full, and you'll notice several things not several. One thing starts happening. This starts changing. What's this again? You guys remember? Your airspeed indicator. It's telling you how fast you're going. Obviously, when you're on the takeoff, you're going to get faster, and that's why your airspeed knob, that starts moving clockwise as you're getting faster. And so we're going to keep a watch on that. We have to pay attention to that as we take off. So let me go ahead and unpause here. Make ourselves stay roughly in the center of the runway. Now, remember how I said to keep a watch on it? This one you have to do really quickly. You'll notice the knob hit 60 on the airspeed indicator. This tells you you're now going at 60 knots, 60 nautical miles per hour. That's our unit of speed, remember, from last week's lesson. And once you hit at around 60 knots, you can go ahead and tilt your device back slightly to get yourself into the air. Don't do it as intensely as I did just now. Just make sure you're gently getting into the air. You want to do it as slow as you can. And now, 3 more things are happening. So, once you take off, obviously, once you take off, remember how we talked about last week? When your plane pitches up, you start seeing more sky, you start seeing more blue. And what do you think that's going to reflect a change in? That's right. You see more blue, you're going to look down at your artificial horizon here, and you're going to see more blue. So you can see the wings are now like into the blue here. The wings are more into the blue. That tells you you're climbing. As well, if you look at this, if you look at our altimeter, or our altitude indicator, but we call it altimeter, you'll start to see this go up as well, going clockwise again, just like the airspeed indicator, because as we're climbing, we're gaining height. So it makes sense our altitude indicator or altimeter has to start increasing. And so we'll just keep doing that. Just practice getting into the air and maintaining somewhat stable flight. Did I turn on winds on this thing? Calvin, can you quickly show them how to turn off wind? Did you do that already?
I already did at the beginning.
You did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me turn off the wind on mine really fast. Sorry. Don't worry about what you see right now. I just need to turn off the wind here. Let me get rid of this. Good. Don't worry about that right now. Okay. So yeah. So we don't want the wind to play around with our first attempt at getting in the air. So, as you remember, get in the air and get in the air. You released your brakes, you had your throttles, you took off, and you're watching your instruments. There's a lot going on with these instruments. And I want to point you to one final instrument. You know the ones that are changing. You know the instruments that are changing. You have your airspeed indicator up here on the top left, your artificial horizon in the top middle, altimeter top right. Two other things are happening. So now we have the vertical speed indicator. Now this one we rushed a little bit last week, but basically, not only do we want to know how high we're going, we want to make sure that we're increasing our altitude at a comfortable rate, you know? And how we figure out how comfortable we're climbing is by looking how fast we're going up and down. And that's what the vertical speed tells us, how fast we're going up and down. In this case, if the arrow is pointing up, that means you're climbing. And this indicates that we're going at around 1,000 feet per minute. These are all measured in hundreds. So this would be 500. This would be 1,000 or 1,000. This would be 1,500, 2,000. You don't want to go up here. You want to stay in this dashed region. All right. Back into the cockpit here. And finally, now that you've figured out how to tilt your device forward and back like that to either ascend, climb, or descend, the other thing you can start doing is taking your device and going left and right, banking left and right. And as you do that, what you'll start to see is, well, remember how the artificial horizon, the horizon is now tilted relative to us, which is what you see here. You see the horizon here is just tilted like this. That tells us we're turning. But also, I want you to take a look at your compass or your heading indicator. As we're turning, this also starts turning. And it indicates that we're going to the left because this arrow that you see here is starting to make its way towards the left of our compass, like this. You can see that, making its way towards the left. Okay, I know this was a lot to take in and understand. That's why you just have to practice this. All we expect of you from this lesson is to be able to do this. Take off, fly around, and have a hand-eye coordination to keep track of these 5 key instruments and understand what they're doing as you maneuver in the air. And the more you do this, the more you'll be able to learn what these instruments are telling you and why. And so now that we've taken off, now we just have to maintain some smooth flight in the air. So there's obviously things we want to go over. So let's go ahead and talk about our lazy cruise for a second. I'll have Steven take care of that.
All right. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, my mic's on. So the lazy cruise, when you are flying, you would just 3 things that you want to pay attention to is your power. Make sure that you have a stable flight and watch all the 6-pack instruments that Nikhil was just talking about. So power, normally you would cruise anywhere between 2,000 RPM and 2,400 RPM. So
We haven't talked
2,400
about that
RPM.
yet.
Okay. Well, I guess it's on the slide. You can keep the power as it is, or you can take the power out if you want to slow down the plane. Stable flight, so just make sure that you're just cruising at a normal flight attitude. You're not doing random turns unless you want to. And then watch your instruments. So just watch whatever instruments that Nikhil just talked about. Make sure that they all, you know what they're doing. You know what your planes is doing because you want to be in control of the aircraft.
Yeah. All right. And so as Steven was mentioning, want to watch our power. So once you feel like you have once you feel that okay with watching your airplane, maneuvering it around a little bit, banking to the left like this, going down, going up like this. Once you feel like you understand what's going on and you're watching all these 5 instruments here and watching how they change, you can start playing around your throttle, which is the slider on the left. You can start playing around with your power. And notice, if you were to pull the slider all the way down, aka your throttle, if you were to pull it all the way back like this, you'll notice what's going to happen if you have less power going into the air. You're going to start slowing down because there's less of this propeller in front thrusting you forward. And when there's less of that, you're not going to go as fast. So this is going to start to go down. As you can see, the indicator is starting to, make its way down on the airspeed indicator, and that tells you your speed is decreasing. That's something you want to watch out for. The other thing you want to not do is zoom in on one gauge, because then you'll look outside and you realize that you're diving towards the ground, like right now. So I'm just going to pull myself out of this and pretend nothing just happened, and just keep flying around. That's all we're going to do. Just keep flying around and watch these gauges as they move around. Once you feel comfortable doing all of that, try making some turns so that you can see the airport again. So remember, obviously we took off from an airport, we took off from Maui Airport, and you want to try to turn your airplane around so that you can see the airport again. And once we've taken off, gotten the air, and all that, there's obviously only one thing left that we have to do, and that's to get back on the ground, right? Once you get, I would hope you want to get back onto the ground. So let's go ahead and talk about a simple landing procedure that we'll discuss right now. Yuvraj, take it away.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to go over the lazy landing, pretty much how to initially set your plane down when you're still getting used to the simulator. So here's a little secret, industry-wide secret. Landings are basically controlled crashes. You come in real low, you come in real slow, you come in real close to the runway, you pull the power, you pull the nose up, and your wheels slam into the ground. And all you gotta do is practice so that when they do slam into the ground, it's as soft as you can possibly get them to be. And that's pretty much a good landing. And another quote, another famous quote that I've heard from pilots is, any landing that you can walk away from is a great landing. Any landing that the plane can walk away from is a great landing. So all I'm saying is, starting out, if you feel like you're not really good at landings, if it's a little rough at first, don't worry. That's how it goes for everyone. But yeah, let's get started. So as you can see, there aren't really a lot of steps in the lazy landing procedure. You have to line up with the runway, slowly pull your power back so you can slowly glide in, and then descend, and then follow the 2 white, 2 red PAPI lights, which I will explain as we get started in the simulator. Then you aim for the landing zone, which I'll also show you where it is on the runway, and then you just butter the touchdown. That's real technical terminology we use there.
Butter. Yes.
Yep.
Buttering is such a technical term in aviation. It's how we call a smooth landing. So if you've ever been on a commercial airplane and you landed and you literally don't feel it, we say that plane buttered the landing. And when we say it's a technical term, it is absolutely by no means a technical term. It is very, very informal. That's why we like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, now that we're
Let's get started.
all right. So I'm in
Onwards to
the
the sim.
now I'm in slightly in the middle of nowhere. So let me
Just a little
maneuver
bit.
around a little bit. Let's sort of get
Mhm.
back towards the airport. Can take a look at. You can fly around Maui. It's cool that we chose Maui because you can just fly around Maui and practice
right.
flying. So where's the runway? Make sure you have a general idea of where the airport is as you're flying as well.
Can't land if you don't know where the airport is. I mean,
Yes.
you can, but probably wouldn't go very nicely.
Step 1 is to find land.
Yep.
Then you're in good hands.
Don't
Alright.
dive into water.
Yeah, because waters are not runways. Oh, there it is. Look at that.
Found it.
Right there.
I think it might be a little bit too close and a little bit too high, but
Yeah.
we'll manage.
Yeah. How about I do a nice loop-de-loop to get ourselves lower?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just loop-de-loop
Yep.
a little bit more because we're actually a little bit too high. So if we were to try
So-
landing right now, it would.
Yeah, Nikhil's pretty much going to do what's called a corkscrew maneuver, so that he can descend and lose altitude in a small enough area, so that he can line up with the runway and he isn't too high.
Yeah.
So, yep.
All right.
What altitude do you generally
And
want to
then-
be at
Altitude for what?
for landing?
It doesn't really matter. Just get
Yeah.
used to flying around. And oh, right, I forgot to explain something. As you descend, so once you feel like you've had enough
Mhm.
time in the air, you want to go back down. Obviously, something you want to notice is to make
Vertical
sure
speed.
that this is really what's telling you whether you're going up or down. This tells you literally, okay, you're going down this quickly, or in this case, around 400-ish, 410-ish feet per minute downward. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to be careful because your artificial horizon won't always tell you if you're going up or down. It just tells you what direction you're pointed when you're pitching up and
Mm-hmm.
down. But this is really what's telling you if you're actually going up or down. See, that's why this instrument,
right.
vertical speed, is really important. All right, so I'm going to finish the turn over here, and we're going to talk about how to finally land. And if I'm not mistaken,
So
all right,
as-
there it is. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so as Nikhil lines up with the runway, you'll be able to notice 4 lights next to the runway. Depending on how high or low Nikhil is, they'll either be red or white. And those are the PAPI lights, P-A-P-I. So what they stand for is Precision Approach Path Indicator Lights. So they pretty much tell you how above or below the glide slope you are. So
Oh no,
if you
this
can
one
look at
doesn't
the
have 'em.
PAPI lights. Oh, this runway doesn't have PAPI
I think
lights.
it's on the other
that's
side.
trouble.
No, I just realized this airport that I've put here doesn't have the PAPI
Uh-huh.
lights. So
Oh, that sucks.
yeah, I think for now, if you do see the PAPI lights, go ahead and
Mhm.
explain what they are. I'll just pause for now. You can explain.
So yeah, so there's pretty much 4 lights, and then as you approach, you'll be able to see if you're right on the glide slope, if you're coming in perfectly at the right altitude, you'll see 2 red and 2 white lights. That means that you're right in between the highs and the lows, and you're coming in perfectly, and you want to maintain that glide path. Now, if you're flying along and those 2 green, not green, 2 red and 2 white turn into 3 red and 1 white, what that means is you're coming in too low. You've kind of dropped a little bit. So what you do is just gently add a little bit of power and pull the nose up just a little bit back until you're on 2 red, 2 white, and then continue gliding down. If it happens the other way around, if it's 3 white and 1 red, that means you're far too above the glide slope. So you want to cut power and just fall a little bit. So as you start falling, though, quickly add a little bit of power, pull the nose up a little bit so that you don't fall too much. But yeah, that's basically how you can tell if you're too high or too low. And if you're really too high or really too low, you can even get into a situation where your PAPI lights are 4 red and 4 white. But you don't want to do that. Generally, 2 white and 2 red is perfect. So a lot of the landing systems, sometimes if depending on the airport, they might not necessarily always be 4 lights in a row. They could be sets of 2. Or
So if you check my stream, there's a set of 2.
Yeah, exactly. So there's sets of 2 over there, and then Other airports have sets of 4 on both sides of the runway or sets of 2 on both sides of the runway. But pretty much all you need to know is exactly half of the night lights need to be red and exactly half of them need to be white. And if you've got that 50-50 ratio between the white lights and the red lights, that means you're right on the glide path and you're doing well. So all you need to remember really is more red lights, you're about to run into the ground, and more white lights, you're about to fly above the runway and not touch on the landing spot. And then half and half perfectly, you're doing great, just right on the glide slope. And it's really that simple.
Oh, you want to show me trying to?
Yeah, let's see Calvin go in for a landing. I think you could pause and zoom in real quick, Calvin. Show the PAPI lights. Yeah, so if they're kind of hard to see from here. In person, they're much more visible. You can see how one of there's 4 there, 2 on top of each other. There's 2 of them are white and 2 of them are red. So this is perfect. Well, not perfect because Calvin's not lined up with the runway quite right, but in terms of how high he should be, he is perfect. Yeah. And what he needs to do is manage that through the whole glide. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I often land in the tower.
Whoa, so I think, did you get too low there? Did it go 4
Yeah,
red?
it went 4 red.
4 red, yeah. So pretty much, if you go 4 red, you're gonna land on the grass, and if you go 4 white, you're gonna land after half of the runway is finished because you just glided over it. But yeah, you come in real slow, and then you aim for the landing zone, which I think Calvin is coming up on. We'll show you that in Nikhil's simulator in a second there. It's not as important when you're flying a general aviation aircraft, but if you ever want to get into simulations with bigger commercial airplanes, cargo jets and such, yeah, these big white marks around Calvin, that's the touchdown point for bigger airliners. It's set inwards 1,000 feet in from the runway threshold. Mm-hmm. Yep, those big white rectangles. So in little planes you can land before and you should be fine, but in bigger planes they ask you to land at that spot so that you have enough room to come in kind of low and smoothly touch the airplane down.
And just for reference,
helps to aim.
That tower or in the middle right there, that's where I used to land.
Yes, Calvin is our most improved ever since we started the program. Good job.
Right, I completely forgot to unmute myself. Sorry. As I was saying, I don't have lights here, and if you don't feel like you can handle looking at the lights and the instruments and control your plane all at the same time, we know it's hard, we know it's a lot. Just don't worry about the poppy lights for now if it's too hard. Just focus on, watching your key instruments in front of you and keeping your plane maneuvering properly.
And one more thing, if you want to get a little more specific, if you think you have the landings down because you've been playing with the sim, the next step I would advise is try looking at the attitude indicator and keeping the horizon level with the nose of the plane right until right before you touch down, which is when you pull up the plane a little bit and pull the power back. But don't worry about that if you're just started getting with the landings.
Yep.
This is if you've been playing with the sim for a little while.
And speaking of, if you've been on the sim for a little while and you want a little bit of an extra challenge, this solid line that you see right here, as Yuvraj was talking about earlier, Yuvraj and Calvin were showing, this is the touchdown zone, this is the landing zone, this is your aim spot. This is your X marks the spot. They should just mark it with an X. I don't know why they don't mark it with an X, but that's essentially what you're aiming
white
for.
rectangles are better.
I like X marks the spot better. I don't think I'm gonna hit. I don't think I'll make it to this zone, but oh, actually, no, we might. So as you come up towards the runway,
we're gonna glide past it.
Yeah, a little bit. But as you come up on the runway, I've paused it a little bit. Something you want to start to do is reduce how fast you're going down, because you don't want to go like slam, right? You want to land safely, right? So we're gonna go ahead and do what's called a flare, and that's like pulling the nose up.
Oh,
sorry.
If you flare too much, though, you'll climb up back into the air like Nikhil just did for a second. So be careful about that.
And what helped me a lot
It will
is
happen
actually...
the first few times you try it. The first few times you try flaring your plane, you're gonna climb right back up into the sky and go for a go around. But just keep trying. The key is to pull the engine power back right as you flare, in such a manner that the plane can just gently land with it. Yeah, see, there you go. Back up, back down,
back up again.
Poof.
And then eventually I managed to touch the ground.
And one of the things that helped me a lot was looking at the vertical speed indicator, because you can see how fast you're going down.
Yeah, that's true, but the vertical speed indicator has quite a bit of lag. So
that's true, yeah.
By the time, if you're pulling up and it still says negative, like 100 feet per minute, but you think, oh, I need to get that to 0. But by the time it catches up to 0, it turns out you've overcorrected, pulled up too much, and now your plane's climbing. That's why it's better to develop a bit of an instinct for this rather than depending on the virtual speed indicator.
Yeah. And as Yuvraj and I were talking about, I've slowed down. This is a little bit of a slow motion replay. As you can see, right about here, the plane is tilting up slightly. This is my attempt at flaring. And you'll notice if you do it too much, you'll just go straight back into the air, like right now. And then you start coming back down slowly. And then once you feel like you're getting close to the ground, you increase your pitch a little bit. And then I did it too much again. And then you do it once more. And then finally, we have smoothly buttered the runway. Just like
Not
that.
yet.
Oh,
Not
and
yet.
As Steven...
I can't even tell. Is it? There we go. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Now it's on the
say my name.
Yeah, and I just meant to say that as Steven often corrects me when I make this mistake, in general aviation, the flare, it's known as a transition, isn't it, Steven? I think the word flare is reserved for bigger planes like commercial airliners and cargo jets and stuff like that. So if you want to get all technical on yourself, call it a transition. But
I personally
you say a
like
flare. Airplane people will understand, yeah.
Yeah, I like flare better. All right, just one last time, let me show you what a sort of good flare is, I guess. All right, right about here, you'll notice that as we're getting closer, let me go back a little bit more. Oh, wait, no, I went past it. Once we're getting close to the ground, you don't want to be heading straight, you want to be slightly pitched up, called a flare, so that you can ease the wheels onto the ground. Just like that, and
so
eventually
on the mobile sim, the movement you kind of want to practice is if you have your sim here and then this is your throttle, you want to have your throttle somewhere about like there, your engine's running. So as you pull up, pull back on the throttle. So it's you pull up the phone and you pull back on the throttle, and then that'll help you get your flare just right.
Yeah.
Cutting the power as you pull the nose up.
Yeah, and if it's too much to keep track of your instruments and maneuver the plane and keep track of your throttle, the slider on the left, just focus on maneuvering the plane, and then once you get to the ground, then you can set that slider all the way down. Your
Right.
That way you can start slowing down.
This is all a little bit of next level challenge if you've been messing with the sim for a while. If you're just starting out landings, if you can't get your flare perfect, or if you're not really making the runway quite yet, don't worry about it at all. Just keep practicing it. It'll just start coming to you automatically once you fly enough.
All right. It is 5:07 This is our portion for Q&A. Is there any questions in the chat or by email you have for us? Please drop it in the chat or send us an email right now, and we'll be able to address it on stream. In the meantime, I'm actually just going to go ahead and turn around, and then I'm going to do this again, but a lot faster, just so you like get an idea of how it works, and we'll be quiet a little bit. So you're just going to see how flying works. And then I'll just like say what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and then hopefully you'll be able to understand at this point. All right, so we're about ready for takeoff in the middle of the runway.
Questions in the chat.
Yeah, any questions, please feel free to email us or drop it in the chat. All right, I'm gonna go full throttle. Gonna keep myself in the center of the runway here. All right, watch my airspeed indicator. Wait for around 60 knots. And right about now, we're gonna go ahead and pull back gently. We'll actually show you the yoke so you can see sort of what's happening. All right, we're at a good climb rate. We're going at around, this is showing me around 600 feet per minute, so we're good here. Our altitude is increasing, and our airspeed is around 80 knots. And our pitch is upward towards the sky, as indicated here. And as for our compass, as for the direction that we're going, all you need to worry about, don't worry about the numbers on here, just know that there's north, west, east, and south. These are really the only ones you should pay attention to right now. So we're heading around north. All right, I'm gonna pull my power back just a little bit. And when I do that, you'll see these throttles come back just a little bit like that. I'm gonna maintain some level flight, or a vertical speed of 0, so we're not changing our altitude. So I'm gonna try that for a little bit. I'm gonna bank a little to the left. Get used to banking a little bit to the left. You can see our artificial horizon changes. The sky appears more at an angle towards us. And I'm gonna go a little bit to the right, bank a little to the right, just like that. Go nice and slowly. Make sure the plane is stable. And I'm gonna pull the power back some more because I want to get ready to land back at Maui. Cause let's go home, I guess. All right. Don't want to turn too fast. Let's go ahead and take a look where the airport is. It's somewhere back there. Oh, it's back there. So let's go. Whoa. Let's go ahead and turn towards the airport. We're going to begin a descent as indicated by the vertical speed indicator here. We're going down at around 500 feet per minute, which is good. All right, we're descending a little slower now, and I'm going to pull my power back some more so we can slow down a little bit. One rule of thumb, I guess, is to don't let your speed go below the 60. Don't let it go below 60 knots. Try and keep it above 60 knots. If you see it go below that, add power, add throttle, make yourself go faster.
And if you want to know why, that's because 60 knots is the stall speed, as in your wings won't create enough lift if you go below 60, and you'll start nosediving into the ground.
And
so, yeah,
something
good advice. Stay above 60.
Yeah. Something you might notice is this airport has 2 runways. They're at like an angle towards each other, so I'm going to actually aim for the other one right now. Let's see if we can try our hand at this runway. So our descent is looking good. We're going down at around 500 feet per minute. Let's slow down a little bit more here. And I don't want to descend too fast. So keep maintaining 500 feet per minute here. Going down. I want to slow down some more. I want to get to around 80 knots on my airspeed indicator, just like that. I do see the touchdown. I do see the touchdown zone. I see the thick white line right here, but it looks like I'm not going to make it. That's okay. We'll just aim for around the middle of the runway.
Yeah. When the runway is this long and your plane is this tiny, it really doesn't make much of a difference how far in you land.
Get a flare in. All right. Ooh, we bounced a little. And we're back on the ground. Welcome back to Maui. And to set your brake again, you just press the button on the bottom left. That's the thing we released in the beginning of the session. Were there any questions that we need to address?
Nope, I don't see anything.
In our email as well?
Oh, email.
I
Let's
checked
check
the email.
that.
There's nothing in there.
Okay.
Well, actually, let me check one more time.
All right, yeah.
Sure.
It's just this is your last
Yeah,
last
there's
chance for
nothing there.
questions because we are now going to wrap up the stream. So I'm gonna let me stop the plane, get a parking brake going. All right. Okay. We hope this has been a little bit helpful for you. We hope if you've made it to the ground successfully, we congratulate you. That is already a massive achievement. If you've been able to accomplish that already, let's not talk about what Calvin is doing.
Oh, can you see that?
Yeah, let's not strike
This
buildings
is
with our
not-
wings. Yeah. Anyway,
That was not good.
well, I guess we can keep showing Calvin as we wrap up the stream here. So, once again, thank you guys so much for joining us on this Up and Away stream. We hope you enjoyed. We hope you finally feel proud that you're able to maneuver in the air all the way from takeoff to landing. And by the way, all these things that we've just taught you about are fundamental for flying every airplane. Now, that doesn't mean go into a cockpit and start flying a random airplane, but everything that you've learned today sets you up for the rest of aeronautics and the rest of aviation. Once you are
if
able
you're trying to
maneuver
fly
your plane,
planes, that is.
yeah. Well, even if you're going to be an engineer and build planes, these are fundamental things you need to understand
Yeah,
about
without a doubt.
airplanes. So, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any more questions, feel free to send us an email, flyprojectaviate@gmail.com,
Nikhil.
or leave a comment on this live stream. Yeah?
Are we planning on a chill stream for
Yeah.
Women's
Yeah.
Aviation Week?
Yes. So,
Should
as
probably let
Raj
them know.
brought up, next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m., we will be celebrating Women of Aviation Worldwide Week in our flight simulator here on YouTube, and we'll be flying a real, well, not a real plane, I guess, but we'll be flying a complex aircraft in the simulator. This is your chance to ask us anything about the field of aerospace or the field of aviation, or even about the subject, which would be influential women in aviation. Everything you're going to see in that stream will be of like a complicated looking airplane and all that, but that isn't the point of the stream. It's just to have fun and give you an idea of what you'll be able to understand as we get deeper into our Up and Away series. So we hope you're excited for that. We hope to see you next
Yeah.
week. You guys have anything to
And
add?
if you're curious about what a big airliner looks like and how you fly one, then check out our live stream. It's going to be
Yep.
fun.
That's where we fly the big boy commercial planes that you're used to
The big
flying at the
boys.
airport. Yep.
My official folder for my Xplane simulator on my desktop, it's called Commercial Big Boys. That's actually what my folder is called, with all my airplanes in it.
Only at Project AVIATE do you find such
Only at
nerdiness.
Project AVIATE.
All right. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Please step outside. It's a beautiful weather right now. And we'll see you
Absolutely.
on Tuesday. See y'all later.
It's
Have a
aight.
great day.
Bye,
Have a good one,
everyone.
guys.